Spoiler warning, this video will be going over the plot of the movie Hitman, so if you haven't seen it, don't. But if you do really want to watch the movie, then go and watch it first and then come back and see if you agree with my opinion. Okay, so Hitman is a movie based around the fun premise in which a boring professor works a second job as a fake hitman, kind of playing around with the cliche of having a double life. Gary works with the police to help arrest people who attempt to hire a hitman, not knowing the whole thing is a setup. Gary likes his job as a fake hitman helping in these sting operations, and everything's going well in his life until he meets Madison, someone who's trying to hire a hitman, and he falls for her. This eventually leads to Gary having to help Madison cover up the killing of her ex-husband with a murder of his own. I, like many people, found this premise enticing, and for that reason I watched Hitman when it first came out on Netflix. And at first I thought it was going to be a good rom-com movie that I would enjoy, because I love comedies. That being said, I was eventually let down by the movie, and have come to dislike it, as it had such potential and wasted it with a poor conclusion. That being said, let's get into more specifically the reason why Hitman was such a disappointment. The movie Hitman, starring popular actor Glen Powell, was released on May 24th, 2024, before then streaming on Netflix later that summer, June 7th, and though many people with their families went and saw the movie, they shouldn't have. The movie was a waste of both their time and money, because the resolution of Hitman contradicts with the morals and theme already established in the movie. Hitman was a wretched movie, meaning that people should not spend their time and money watching it. In the final act of the movie, the main character Gary, and Madison, his girlfriend, killed Jasper because Jasper knew that Madison was the person that killed Jay, her ex-husband, and was threatening to expose them unless paid. These unjustified, contradictory, and cruel murders were the reason why Hitman was a dreadful movie. The movie forces the reader to digest these deaths while only providing unclear and weak justification for them. The justification that Hitman seems to direct the audience towards is the fact that both of these people killed, Jasper and Jay, were bad people who had and were likely to do more morally questionable things. After killing Jasper, Gary explains this when he says,
I mean, the police are probably thinking about him the way we are right now. They'd just be better off if he wasn't around anymore.
which, yeah, that's pretty dark. And then he continues,
Drugs in his system, back over his head, no contusions or sign of struggle, clearly a suicide. I mean, his wife left him years ago, so no one to question the story. He's racist, misogynistic, abusive, a dirty cop.
The same explanation for Jay was presented when Madison describes Jay as
bad person. You don't know what I'm married into, and it just keeps getting worse and worse.
Madison then goes on to depict her relationship with Jay as restrictive and controlling when she explains,
He doesn't let me work. He doesn't really let me do anything.
Through these descriptions of Jay and Jasper, we can clearly see that they were horrible people, and some drastic audience members might have found that reason enough to justify their murders, but it is an especially terrible line of reasoning in the context of the movie's theme. In the first act of the movie, it's shown to the audience that Gary lives a very boring life, and because of his personality, or lack thereof, his wife, Alicia, had left him. We learn this when Alicia visits Gary at his work to catch up with him over lunch, which is when Alicia proposes the question to Gary, asking,
If the self is a construct and it's all just role play, do you think people can change?
Yeah. Within our set points, which really isn't that much.
I don't know. I was never really sure about that. You know, there's actually been a lot of recent research and data that says we can.
Enlighten me.
For the rest of the movie, Gary works towards being a better, more confident version of himself by acting like the person he wants to become, which was the method described by Alicia. Through Gary's actions and his later transformation, the theme of the story is presented to the audience. People can change. Hitman's theme directly contradicts the justification provided by the movie in regards to Jasper and Jay's murders. If one is to apply the theme of the movie to Jasper and Jay, then one can come to understand that though they were terrible people, they could have changed themselves, improved their character, and not have been such terrible people. Though because they were murdered, they were robbed of that opportunity. Hitman was an atrocious movie, for it left a sour taste in the mouths of its audience. Hitman's reasoning for the murders of Jay and Jasper was contradictory and weak, leaving the audience with main characters who unjustly murdered two people, while the movie expects the audience to just forget about the violent acts and continue to support Gary and Madison. Due to the main character's unjust actions, leaving the movie with a disgusting conclusion, you should not throw away your time or money trying to watch Hitman.